right. Being a founder of L2Beat, I do have a unique opportunity to work with essentially every single L2 team out there, and we've been working with them since very beginning of this space, which is like 4 years ago. That's incredible. Time flies by very quickly. We've worked with the early pioneers in ZK Tech. We've worked with the Plasma group that renamed to Optimism. We've worked with Arbitrum, and from this stage, I do want to acknowledge all these teams, because without your support, we certainly wouldn't be here. And as L2Beat, we are extremely thankful for all the support that the community gives us. So let's have a look what we've managed to achieve. Well, first of all, we've managed to launch almost 50 rollups and over 50 LDA L2s. That's incredible achievement. It's a lot of systems, and we've got almost as many to launch in the coming months. Now, we've put a lot of value, a lot of TVL on these systems as well. And if you look at the charts, they're all going up only. The thing is that, with all that growth, there's also a lot of responsibility. So we do need to understand that end users who are using these systems, they are putting money into these rollups because they do believe that rollups inherit the security of Ethereum. And with that kind of realization, in my opinion, we need to start getting serious about security. We've also managed to scale Ethereum. I mean, Ethereum was chumming along quite fine, but it started to get really slow for the demand, and the fees were getting really high. So surely we are scaling. These numbers also go up. This is incredible. However, there's but. Guys, there's always but, right? And I'm just here to be honest with all of you, and I really want this space to get serious. And this is my opportunity to call for your support to make sure that we don't fail. We don't fail the expectations of the community, that we're starting to be really serious about the security of what we're building. Because, if you're using training wheels for too long, if you're an adult using training wheels, and I repeat, it's been 4 years, then you kind of are really immature, right? So it's okay to use training wheels if you're a child. It's not okay to use training wheels if you're an adult. And I think it's time for all of us, really, to stop being shy about it. We really should all speak out, and we shouldn't really suffer from emperor's clothes syndrome. So what is this big but? Well, first of all, most L2s today do not have a proof system, which is kind of surprising because early pioneers like Starknet, like ZK Sync, like Aztec, 4 years ago, when they were launching their first application-specific rollups, they did have a proof systems. So yes, you can launch today an L2 with one click of a button. However, is that really an L2? Is that really a rollup? All you're doing is you're launching something which is secured by the multisig. I don't think that's good enough. And the state of the ecosystem today is kind of like this on this diagram. So on the left, you can see the current L2s with a proof system. On the right, you can see current L2s without a proof system. And I would bet that the vast majority of upcoming L2s will not have a proof system. That would include essentially every single OP stack chain except for OP mainnet and base. And kudos to them, by the way. They're like champions. However, every single OP stack chain simply does not have a proof system. That chart on your right will also include all the orbit stacks, which they do have a proof system. However, it's actually behind often a very short permissioned whitelist. And sometimes this whitelist is just one actor. It's the same as state proposers. Essentially, there's a state proposer, and it's only them who can challenge themselves. Like, what the F? Like, seriously. Now, most L2s do not use security councils. What do we mean by the security council? Security council essentially is a multisig that consists of at least 8 participants and require a 75% consensus threshold. So you can think of it as a big multisig, but it's not just about the size. I mean, size may be important, but it's not about that, right? It's about the fact that we want the participants to be geographically decentralized. You might have heard yesterday, an amazing Phil Dian's presentation about, the need for geo diversification. That's what we want from these structures. And essentially, we want the participants, most importantly, to come from different companies and different jurisdictions. That's super important. I'm going to show you some examples like why. However, think about the security councils as those supercharged multisigs, right? There's a very, very important social layer behind them. So this is the current state of things. And again, it's very, very bad. We only have security councils in Arbitrum, Optimism, Polygon, ZK Sync, and I know that Starknet, Scroll, interestingly, Fuel is launching with a security council. Everybody else is essentially a very small, internal, often multisig, and frankly, it is extremely hard to tell the difference between these multisigs and the simple EOAs. So the third big item that I think did wrong is that most all DAs, meaning non-rollups, are set up with abysmal DA trust assumptions. And I use the word abysmal, A, because I like it, and B, because it's really, really bad. Look at these guys on the left. There are a few examples. Again, Arbitrum, versus Xi, versus Immutable X. However, almost everybody else is literally posting DA to their server in the basement or whatever. I mean, we have no idea. We have literally no idea. Point is, they're really bad and they don't seem to care so much. So maybe users don't care. We don't know, but we need to really look at that data and tell everybody, hey, that's not Data Availability Committee. Data Availability Committee originally was created by and championed by Starkware for the StarkX implementations and by Arbitrum, but that was not the point that you can say, hey, I've got one server in my basement, I can call it Data Availability Committee. That's not what was the point of all that exercise. So altogether, I'm sorry to say that, but at the moment, in most L2s, permissioned operators can steal or freeze your funds. And we're here really to, A, make you all aware of that. Sorry to say that, but we need to change that attitude, right? So why should we care about proof systems? There are at least 3 good reasons, in our opinion, why should we all have a working proof system. One is that actually allows you for permissionless exit in case all the operators are down. And they may be down for whatever reason. We had quite recently a case of DYDX going down. They have warned the users. A lot of users didn't exit. However, if you do have a proof system, you can make the system so that in a permissionless way, someone's going to take over, or you can build an escape hatch. Users will be able to get their funds out. That's super important. Without the proof system, you just simply cannot do that. It's impossible. Then the second one is that you can actually improve on the trust assumptions of the Security Council. That's assuming, of course, you have one. And the reason for that, this is quite nuanced. However, what you can do now is that instead of a situation when the malicious proposer, and this is like the diagram showing the vanilla optimistic rollup without the proof system, which you can see in a lot of OP stacks today, there's a, let's say, very strong multisig that can override the state root, and there's a proposer that proposes state root. So if that proposer is malicious, all they need to do is to bribe 2 members of the Security Council to look away, not to do anything malicious, to just simply don't do anything, in which case the malicious proposer will actually go through and they will steal the funds, right? Now, once you introduce the proof system, situation is much, much harder for the proposer because now they need to bribe the majority of the Security Council. not only they have to bribe majority, they have to actually make them do something malicious and not just simply look away. That's a very, very different proposition. To make someone look away is to say, hey, if I give you, $10 million, you just, lose your keys, right? Or go for a long international flight. If you want to make someone do something malicious, that's an entirely different proposition. So we think that this changes, especially with the Public Security Council, trust assumptions fundamentally. Finally, proof systems, if you're stage 2, allow you to remove any intermediaries whatsoever. You don't need a Security Council, or if you do have it, it's only for like emergency situations, if you like, right? So that may have actually profound regulatory implications. So you may actually want to launch your L2 as a stage 2 system from the very start. That's possible. But of course, you do need to have proof system. Ideally, you might want to have more than one. And there are already some announcements of systems doing that. So this is one of the latest announcements from the Nethermind team. They will be building a rollup which is intended to be a stage 2 at launch. So again, that was about the proof system. Now, why security councils and not just simple multisigs? And the reason is that don't believe multisigs are multisigs. That's the reason, unless there's a social layer that actually can convince you that these are fundamentally diversified. We've had several big events in our history. We had multi-chain that claimed, they were very decentralized. Turned out that no, they were not. And this is the claim that you cannot really verify independently yourself. Huge attack or inside job or a rug pull, we are not sure. Then we had a situation with Oasis where they were approached by UK court and they had to actually use their multisig to extract some funds from the protocol. It would be impossible to do that if you had a geopolitically diversified Security Council to do that, because there's no court order that can actually reach everybody. Finally, quite recently, we had a essentially attack on the multisig. Don't think for a second that multisigs can't be attacked. Eventually, we have to get rid of all of them. So to sum up, we think this is the correct way to think about these systems and their security. If you have a stage 0 rollup with no Security Council, essentially malicious operator can do whatever they want with your funds. If you are stage 0 rollup with a Security Council, then you can try to bribe Security Council minority. That's maybe a hard thing to do, but much, much easier than bribing the Security Council majority, which you will need to do if you're malicious, if your rollup is, has a proof system. And finally, no one can steal your funds if you're stage 2. That's the promise of getting to stage 2. So the question is, do we have the right incentives, for projects to actually care? And the problem is that the only thing that we can do, we as L2Beat and we as Ethereum community, is to apply social pressure. So this is Vitalik saying that, starting next year, he will plan only publicly mention L2s that are stage 1. He previously even said that he's not going to call the system rollups if they're not stage 1. And this is what you can see today on L2Beat. It's very hard, really, to say what is the security of your system, right? So we were wondering, what can you do? At the moment, we have stages for rollups. We don't have these stages for validiums optimiums. And we were wondering for a long time, hey, what, maybe we could introduce stage 0 plus for proof systems like rollups, which are not stage 1, however, they are better than stage 0. But after months of discussion, we decided, no, guys, it is time to grow up, essentially, and we really need to break this. So what we're proposing to the community, and this is going to go on the forum and with the community feedback, that's what we want to do. First of all, we want to sort of create a separate category for systems, kind of similar today. The main difference is that you will have to have a proof system to be a stage 0. So, for example, Starknet today will be stage 0 under this classification. All the OP stack chains that don't have a proof system, except based on optimism, they will not fall into this category, right? And of course, we will give time for systems to adjust. So that's like the main category, and that should be like a super league, right, of systems. Then you have another category of systems that are not using Ethereum DA, so they do use additional trust assumptions that come with DA. We call them all DA, but they would include Validiums, Optimiums, and whatever hybrid construction you may actually create. However, they have to give you reasonable DA guarantees. That cannot be your basement. That has to be reasonably sized data availability committee, or if you're using Celestia, if you're using Avail, you need to use the bridge, and you will have to use the bridge because you need to have a proof system. So what about the others? They will still be L2. We will put them into the third category, which we call, and now I'm waiting for the community feedback, how do we call these systems? So our working name is others. You may find whatever name. The point is, they are secured by the multisigs, right? And we will expose these multisigs for what they are. That's what we want to do in our UI. So essentially, the UI is going to look roughly like this. You will see this breakdown. You will see rollups. You will see Validiums and Optimiums, and you will see others. And the default sorting will be by security, not by the TVL, right? Let's not chase TVL with the bad security. That's not the point. That's going to end really, really badly. So we will promote stage 1 and stage 2 projects, and we will look at the stage 0 projects as contenders. For the others, we're happy to list them. We will be extremely liberal. You just need to be essentially aligned with Ethereum. You will need to obviously have a bridge, that would allow you to move funds. However, we will look at the trust assumptions. We will look at the multisigs, and we hope that slowly but surely, we will move from others to either Validiums and Optimiums or to rollups, right? But this is what we kind of think the others category would look like. This is the real data right now, the real systems that may fall into the others category if they don't introduce the proof system. You will see exactly, who's the proposer, who's the challenger, and who's the upgrader. Funny thing is, you can see that today on L2B, it's just that, this information is so hidden deeply in the details page that, I bet that only researchers and enthusiasts check out the data. It's all available today. However, we do want to expose the data to end users. We want end users to be truly aware of what's going on so that we are all accountable for the system that we're building. So is it enough to just say, hey, I've got a proof system, am I in this first category? Well, it's not. Our pledge to the community as L2Beat is that the next year, we're going to put significant resources into actually looking super hard and very deep into these proof systems to make sure that they are sound, they are complete. We will analyze both ZK and optimistic. You may have seen some of the talks from the morning, how we approach looking at the fraud-proof systems. We will do essentially the same for the ZK. We will go into the source code. We will look at how you created your trusted setup. We will look at your circuits and see what exactly is being verified on chain, right? We want to make everything super transparent so that trust assumptions, they must be clearly communicated, and more importantly, your proof system cannot be hidden behind a unreasonably small whitelist, right? So we are hiring researchers. We will do all that work, and this is our pledge for the next year to come. I hope the next year is going to be the year of L2s and rollups. However, it's not about I can launch my rollup with one click of a button. That's not the point. The point is you want to launch, and you want to be able to launch a system with good security. Ideally, you want to inherit as much security as possible from Ethereum. And there's a lot of work to do for all of us to actually reach that. But if we don't do that, then all we're doing is essentially creating thousands of insecure sidechains. We don't want that, I think, as a community. So with that, thank you very much, and join us for that flight.
Let's give him a big hand. Wow. Thank you, thank you. I think we are, Ethereum community really appreciate your work. And yes, you just cook them on the stage. I love it. Okay, let's do the Q&A. Is it important that rollups decentralize their sequencer, or other safety or mechanism are sufficient?
So this is a very good and important question. I think that there are different designs that we will see. I don't think decentralizing sequencer is like super important for the security of users' funds, but it may be important for the real-time censorship resistance in certain situations. Vitalik said during his opening keynote that the future might be that we might see rollups going based, leveraging Ethereum infrastructure to combat real-time censorship resistance, while others, like say Mega ETH, they might actually have very centralized sequencer and they may rely only on the escape hatch. We might see hybrid constructions. I think the design space is huge. And right now, we like observers as L2s, right? We really want to see what's going to happen and, how that's going to play out.
All right, thank you. Next one, will TEE-based proof system be considered stage 2, even if they imply trust in hardware manufacturer?
So the short answer is no, because with the constructions that we see today, essentially, if you're using SGX, Intel could submit a proof, and they could potentially block, steal, freeze, whatever they want, without anyone really noticing, and without Ethereum noticing. However, with all that work that's being put forward, to create the trustless, permissionless TEs, maybe. I'm being told that this is actually work that's extremely exciting. However, short answer today, no.
Okay. Why is optimism classified as stage 1? Wow. Based on the evaluation, they are not, as the validation control proposal process is in it entirely.
Well, I mean, they essentially meet all the criteria. So it's not really about the proposal process. It's about who's controlling the funds, and you can have a centralized proposer. However, there's a fallback. So if they go down, then the whole system becomes more of a permissionless. So I think it's important to recognize also what is the role of the Security Council and whatnot, right? We want stage 1 systems to allow you to exit if the centralized proposer stops. So for example, with the UIDX, there was, the proposer was super centralized. However, when they stopped, people could exit, right? So it's not about whether you're centralized or decentralized, it's about whether you can actually exit in the permissionless way. They met all the criteria. I mean, we're refining, by the way. I mean, criteria is not something that's set in stone because all these systems are evolving, right? So we need to evolve with these systems. So the criteria might be changing a little bit, and we are looking very, very closely at both Optimism and Arbitrum because clearly they like the two leaders. There are a lot of nuances that I don't have time to go into, but yeah, I mean, it's not like you have this stage designation forever, right? So if there's something like a new information or whatever that we might have skipped or missed, it's quite possible that you may lose this designation.
All right. Okay. What are the core reason projects don't build towards stage 1? Complexity, time, cost, talent?
It's surprisingly costly. And like I said, the pioneers 4 years ago, they were essentially building for, like DYDX was literally the first, one of the first, if not the first, ZK rollup. It was application specific, but still, it was the first. And if not for small nuances, it will be stage 2, really. It's the governance process that we require, for stage 2 that's failing, but like for all intents and purposes, it's a stage 2 system. It was built 4 years ago, so it's not like it's impossible. I think what makes it, super hard today for all the rollups to actually do that, frankly, is that the majority of the rollups are not built by the teams. They launched by the rollup as a service providers, and we need to incentivize them to actually do better, right? So, and it's hard, yeah. I mean, no one said that it would be easy.
All right, thank you, and we are running out of time. Thank you, Mr. Bartek, and yes, let's give him big hands. Yeah, I'm sure we appreciate your hard work and your researching team. Thank you. Thank you. All right, it's lunchtime.